So question 128, a reciprocal trig equation to solve this time. Let's have a look. So before we get too far into this question, what I want to do is highlight one important word in the question, which is the word exact. So we mustn't write any answers in decimal form because those won't be exact. Okay, let's have a look at the equation then. So cosec x is the same as 1 over sine x. So cosec 2 theta minus pi over 3 is 1 over sine 2 theta minus pi over 3. And we can rearrange that to say sine 2 theta minus pi over 3 equals a half. Using a calculator, or you might know that the arcsine of a half is pi over 6. So 2 theta minus pi over 3 equals pi over 6. Now, I'm resisting the temptation to work out the first value of theta. Instead, what I'm going to do is look at the domain over which we are solving this equation. So if theta is between pi, minus pi and pi, we've got to solve this for 2 theta minus pi over 3. So what are the limits for 2 theta minus pi over 3? Well, the left-hand side is going to be 2 times minus pi over 3. And the right-hand side is going to be 2 pi minus pi over 3. So when we evaluate those, we find the limits between which 2 theta minus pi over 3 needs to exist. So I'm going to draw the standard graph of sine x now, or sine theta, from minus 7 pi over 3 to plus 5 pi over 3. And there it is, the green line. Not quite going to 2 pi here, and going a little bit further than minus 2 pi here. I've also drawn the line y equals a half as well, or sine theta equals a half. So we see that the first answer that we've got, this pi over 6, that's this answer here. So we've got 3 other answers to find. The first of these, this one here, will be pi minus the first answer, because that's pi there. So pi over 6 is the first answer, and then the second is pi minus pi over 6. Once we've got these first 2 answers, if we subtract 2 pi from each of those, we'll get these 2 answers here. So as well as pi over 6 and pi minus pi over 6, we'll have 2 pi subtracted from each of those. So pi over 6 minus 2 pi, and pi minus pi over 6 minus 2 pi. So evaluating each of those, we obtain these 4 values for 2 theta minus pi over 3, and then adding pi over 3 to each of those, and finally dividing by 2 gives us these final answers here. So there we are, a little bit tricky, but all of the answers are in exact form there in terms of multiples of pi. Okay.